Hello and welcome. I'm Olly Smith and I'm speaking to you from the glorious ship Arcadia in the second of 4 very special films brought to you by P&O Cruises. I've got 2 magnificent wines to share with you, but before that, I'd like to say a few words about the new superliner, Azura. As some of you may know, Azura is joining the fleet in April 2010, and I just had the chance to go and visit her in the shipyard, and she looks magnificent. I'm delighted to be selecting the wines for the glasshouse on board Azura, and I've been scouring the planet to find 32 absolute stonkers to share with you. And all the wines will be stored in our unique Enomatic preservation system to make sure they're delivered to you in pristine order. Plus, there'll be bespoke fizz behind the bar, which you can order by the glass or by the bottle. And I've even been blending the signature house wine for Azura with some of the world's top winemakers, and it will offer you not just a delicious wine, but I hope terrific value for you to enjoy on your holiday. Plus, I've been creating some cocktails for the Planet Bar, Naughty Tipples. I can't wait to be travelling on board Azura throughout 2010. I will be there for the maiden cruise on the 12th of April. I'd love the opportunity to share the glasshouse with you, to welcome you in person, and whether you want to come in and have a glass of wine to unwind on your holiday, or have a comparative in-depth tasting, or indeed, if you just want to eat, drink and be merry, I'd like to be on your table. Meantime, it's time for a drink. Bring on the tasting! Righto, we've got a wine from Portugal this week. Now, Portugal, famous for Ronaldo, port obviously, and in wine terms, Matias Rosé was pretty big in the 80s, but there's been a huge revolution in Portugal, and this stuff here is called Quinta de Azevedo. You can get it in Waitrose and Majestic, round about $6.50, but sometimes you can find it on offer, so keep your eyes peeled. It's Vinho Verde, and I think it's brilliant. It used to be very popular, went out of fashion. These days though, the small producers who make this stuff north of Porto up to the Spanish border, they've all got together to raise their game and work really hard to build the profile, and I think it deserves a big up. Low alcohol style of wine, 10.5%, very good for your lunchtime tipple, and also it's got real personality. You see those little bubbles in there. It's not strictly speaking a sparkling wine, but there is a bit of carbon dioxide in there. It makes it a little bit pétillant. Prick up your palate. Right, down to the tasting. Now, have a look at this one. Vinho Verde, green wine. Nothing to do with the colour, obviously. Verde just refers to the youth of this wine. You should never lay this wine down for more than 6 months or a year. Always drink it, the fresher the better. So, give it a swirl, unleash those aromas. It's lovely, it's got something a little bit floral about it. It's not a really in-your-face smell. It's quite mild, it's quite delicious. It entices me, that's for sure, and I want to get wet. Cheers. Wow. I just think this is such an underrated style of wine to splash about in. It's brilliant. It's very light in body. So if you think about the body and the texture of a wine when you drink it, it can be thick and rich like olive oil, or it can be very, very light like water. And this one here is very, very light in its texture. But flavour, hello, it's all about cheeky zest. It's super lively, very bright, very, very zingy. There's no oak at all in here, so there's no creaminess. This cheeky little dazzler's also won a couple of awards at the Decanter Awards and the International Wine Challenge 2009. Flash Gordon! Okay people, let's get ready to rumble. It's time for a red, and this one is Colluvia Syrah from Marks & Spencer's. It'll cost you about $7.99, comes from Chile, magnificent vino. Syrah, or Shiraz, it's the same grape variety, started its life in the northern Rhone in France and has made a name for itself all over the world. You've probably tried Shiraz from Australia, you might have had some from South Africa, and I think Chile have got some very interesting examples coming up. This particular one is made by a chap called Marcelo Retamal, who works for De Martino Winery. Now, I took Marcelo to see Pink Floyd, and I've never quite seen a reaction like it. He spent most of the gig crying with joy and saying, "Olly, gracias a Dios!" Because he's a man of passion, he feels it. And that's why I really like him. He's an interesting guy. He goes around Chile finding small pockets of land to tailor to the style of wine he wants to create. Bit of a visionary. This one comes from Choapa, north of Santiago, a unique place in Chile because it's quite close to the sea and quite close to the Andes. It's the most narrow point of Chile. This one here has characteristic Syrah overtones. If you smell it, to me, if you think of a fruit pastel, the brambly fruit pastel with a bit of spice and smoke, and then smell this wine, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Brilliant. Dark, spicy. Imagine walking past those little brambles eating them. Smell of the bonfire, that is this wine. Rich and thick, brilliant stuff. Comes from the Choapa Valley, and the vineyards have had quite a lot of problems, and I'm not joking, so they say, with witches. Now, I don't know if you're into that or not, but whichever way it swings, it sounds pretty exciting. Witches, wine, Pink Floyd, spice, hoof, get in there! Cheers. Hello. Thanks a million for joining me on board Arcadia, and I hope I get to meet you on board Azura, and especially in the Glass House. In the meantime, whatever you're enjoying drinking, sip it in style. Cheers.